Now, you may have to excuse me here. If you're a racing fan, you'll know of racetracks like Bathurst, Daytona, or even Macau. You also may know of the Can-Am Series or the World Sports Car Championship. But unless you're from South America, you might have never heard of this one. I definitely haven't heard of this series before. Racing from that part of the world rarely makes it to Europe or the USA, but it's something we've been missing out on. So let me introduce you to something new, something fast, and something powerful. This is the Superstock Argentino mod, a pack by Sergio Loro recreating a very short-lived Argentinian prototype sports car series. This is their first pack of 7 cars with different models that share Dodge and Chevrolet V8 engines, and they aim to soon fully represent the entire 1970 season of the championship with over 20 cars. I've not heard anyone talking about this pack, but they come from such a great modder. If you're just here to see if the mod is good, they're great fun, and I highly recommend you give them a go, and I think they're definitely worth the price. But if you want to know a little more about the cars and its series, come with me to Buenos Aires, and I'll tell you all about it. So welcome back to Assetto Corsa. We are in the championship-winning Chelco 1 car on a track day around the 1979 version of Buenos Aires with the rest of this pack's cars. It's a fun set of cars on a fun track that has a good combination of long straights and tighter sections. Sergio Loro has been a big part of vintage sim racing since Grand Prix Legends, and his products have been getting better and better. There's a good amount of free tracks that are worth downloading immediately. But also his paid tracks and Formula Junior cars are absolutely awesome. One of his more recent tracks is the 1960s version of Daytona that is a perfect way to relive 1960s and 70s sports cars, prototypes and oval beasts. He's also recreated historic Suzuka, Zandvoort, Rouen and more. Those are pretty popular tracks. There's no way of getting away from it. These SSA70 cars are very niche. Sergio didn't choose to recreate Argentina's more popular Turismo Carretera series, which are weird and wonderful machines in themselves, which have taken part in the oldest still running championship in the world. Instead, they've chosen to bring to life a very nostalgic series. These cars are from the Sport Prototipo Argentino series that only existed from 1969 until an abrupt end in 1973. Today, there's a good amount of love for this competition in Argentina. It had it all in the less restrictive and more dangerous world of 1970s motor racing. It had weird and wonderful designs as well, thrilling tracks, and some of the region's most famous and fastest drivers, including Carlos Reutemann. Apparently, in the late 1960s, Argentina's Turismo Carretera series made a decision to stick with stock cars based upon regular production machines. So to satisfy the desire to innovate, along came the SPA Championship in 1969 with its superstocks. These prototype Argentinian designs were free to be tested and raced hard on the tarmac. The 1970 prototype season that this mod resembles had 17 rounds of varied Argentinian courses, going from full tarmac track circuits to an oval at Rafaela. It also mixed up the formula by having shorter 20-lap or 128km races and longer marathons which lasted up to 500 kilometers. At this track in Buenos Aires, the eventual champion, Nestor Garcia Viega, was fast. With 2 wins, including at its 500km endurance race, as well as a 2nd and a 4th position in the other races at the track. In fact, across the whole season, Garcia Viega was dominant and took 30 podiums over 41 races, of which 19 were race wins. A nearly 50% win rate is nothing to scoff at, especially as he did have some strong competition. Getting a bit too close to the wall. That's a 2:16.1. While the records of this series are not perfect, it seems Garcia Viega only retired 2 or 3 times, which is pretty amazing for the prototypes and racing of this period, especially with a less known car make, Chelco. His reliability and pace took him to the championship in 1970. In this mod pack there's also the Chelco 2 car, which Garcia Viega did briefly race, although it did not entirely replace this, his Chelco 1 car. I love seeing these car models, especially the Hippocampo Dodge. That looks like a dune buggy with a radiator hanging above the car next to the driver. But the championship quickly evolved away from these more innovative looks, and its rules produced cars that looked far closer to the more famous world sports car makes. All these changes made the series' existing issues more pronounced. The cost of making, racing and repairing these cars became too expensive. In 1970, there were usually about 18 competing drivers, which dropped as low as 12 across a weekend. By 1973, 12 drivers was the most the series could field. With fewer and fewer drivers competing and money drying out, the entire series collapsed just 3 rounds into the 1973 season. Some of the races went into the far more popular Turismo Carretera stock car racing. Whilst others looked elsewhere to continue their prototype career. Okay, that's a 2:17.3. That's 1.2 seconds behind my best. Let's see if we can do better on this run. Sergio Loro's cars are from a short moment in history that may never be replicated. Modern racing championships have largely abandoned their own unique and expensive classes. Instead, they often just accept the same templates of GTs and prototypes in each series. Don't get me wrong, modern racing is great, but it feels truly special to look back at these amazing cars with such space-age designs. Sergio has brought a nostalgic competition back into life. Very quickly, you'll find that these 7 cars have their own strengths and quirks. You'll definitely find one to match your own driving style. This Chelco 1 feels like a championship-winning car, and you feel comfortable to glide the car around the corners with a bit of throttle control. The Gentile Chevrolet is one of the most fun drives. You're more on the edge with its V8 engine, but it may become the one I race the most because of its fun yet tricky aspects. On the other hand, the Benavides is agile and the Hippocampo is slower, but on twisty tracks its cornering ability is unmatched, whilst the others have to slow to a crawl. Okay, for the final run, we have that's a 2:15.9. That's my fastest lap of the session. I'll take that. I hope you enjoyed this trip around Buenos Aires and learning a bit about this championship's history. If you have already tried the historic sports cars, prototypes and touring car collections, why not give Sergio Loro's new cars a go? It's definitely worth your while. These cars are great, and you can support one of the biggest names in vintage car and track modding. Alongside their new Westwood circuit, I believe they'll also be recreating a set of 1966 SSA car mods, which I'll definitely have to keep my eye on. Thanks for watching. I've been Historic Sim Racer, and I'll see you next time.